Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. It's a big few days in the world of pro wrestling. Nothing bigger than the passing of Antonio Inoki. I mean, it's sad that his passing makes me realize this, but he has to be on the Mount Rushmore. I know everyone always talks about who is your top four, who is the top four pro wrestlers. And if you're looking at influence in modern wrestling, you have to put Inoki in there. His influence on modern wrestling is a lot broader than he gets credit for, I would say. He fought Ali. The match sucked, but people are now saying that it was, the start of MMA. And it probably inspired McGregor versus Mayweather, which really kicked off the celebrity boxing thing. But then, even look at this Extreme Rules card by WWE. Ronda, Riddle, Daniel Cormier. That's all traced back to Inoki blending martial arts and looking at wrestling as a martial art. He, of course, founded New Japan Pro Wrestling in 1972. 50-year anniversary of the company, and of course he's no longer with us, sad to say, but it was just a really interesting thing to look back on. Kind of ran the company into the ground in the 2000s, trying to bring MMA into New Japan very strongly. Inokiism is what it's called, and Gato kind of saved it into the New Japan we know today. But even kind of outside of his own company, I don't think you'd get Bobby Fish complaining that CM Punk doesn't know how to throw a real kick if Inoki was never in wrestling. I don't think you'd get guys like Kyle O'Reilly in NXT main eventing big NXT shows. I don't think, obviously I already mentioned Ronda, Riddle. I don't think you get Brock Lesnar without Inoki. So, if you have a chance, go back and watch a few of his matches. He would make guys. He made Vader. He made pretty much, anyone that you know from, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Up until, I think it was 2006 or 7 or so. But going from something, sad to something kind of, sad in another way, I guess you would say. Sammy Guevara versus Andrade. Not in a wrestling match, but they had a war of words on Twitter. Andrade, I woke up, I'm just hanging out on Twitter, and then I see something that Andrade posted. He said, "I said it to your face. If you had a problem with me and you said nothing in capitals, face in all caps, I won't beat your ass because I'm a professional. Don't be scared. But when I say something, I name names. And I'm not scared to get fired. Hashtag Sammy." Obviously talking about Sammy Guevara, someone who's kind of been caught up in a lot of these, the AEW backstage controversy over the last few years. And Sammy responded, "You, all caps, didn't say shit to me. You're a liar. But here's some truth. You ungrateful prick. You would be jobless if it wasn't for your dad-in-law. Dad-in-law, not father-in-law. Never heard dad-in-law. Are you really mad at me or mad at yourself for failing to get over for a second, all caps, time? Just go back to WWE like we all know you want to do and fuck off." Then I stumbled across a tweet that Sammy made about 12 hours before the Andrade tweet saying, "You are a jobber, a favor hire, be grateful, bitch." Jesus Christ. They're going in on each other. I have to say that if what happened with Sammy saying that Andrade hits too hard is true, I kind of like hard hitting as much as I watch wrestling. I need it to be kind of laid in, or I start losing the illusion really quickly. So I'm with Andrade from a psychological level. But Sammy made a good point here that They did kind of bring in Andrade just so they could have Flair as his manager, but then the Plane Ride from Hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring kind of killed all of that. And now he's just kind of stuck in AEW. And Sammy is an AEW original here. A lot of people are acting like they kind of don't remember, but I mean, the golf cart spot from the Stadium Stampede is classic. The match with Cody, those were always good. Falling off the cell during Blood and Guts. Sammy has made a lot of moments here in AEW, and I think that he is a bigger star in the body of AEW, not the broader wrestling scene. I think Andrade is a way bigger star. So if Tony Khan had to choose a side, I think he would choose Sammy's side here. But we know that he's not releasing anybody. So I think that this is going to get worse, not only in this particular incident, but I think there's going to be more wrestlers just speaking out on Twitter, talking shit about one another. And that's bad overall, with a point that I'm going to get to maybe a little later. Let's go into another company, WWE. WWE Raw happened last night. Gable suplexing Braun was cool. Good promo by Edge. I think that he's going to start kind of his retirement tour here, and that promo was kind of maybe the first little taste of that. There was a promo that he cut when he was in Toronto at the Toronto Raw after the show went off the air that kind of alluded to something like that as well. They did hint at that white rabbit thing, the bunny thing, but I think that kind of peaked in 923 SmackDown. The SmackDown number was back to normal this week, but the clues on Raw kind of pushed to the pay-per-view. So I think if this gets revealed on Saturday at the pay-per-view, I think that would be good marketing. Anything past that would definitely be too long, but this is definitely the most in-depth marketing that AEW has put toward anything ever. People are saying that it might be Gacy from NXT. I think that they're being tricked on purpose. Just like last week, people thought it was going to be Malachi Black. This week, they think it's going to be Gacy. I think that you are intentionally being led astray. It's none other than Bray. And I did not mean to rhyme there, but it sounded pretty cool. But of course, Extreme Rules pay-per-view is happening this weekend. I do have some predictions here. We have the Brutes versus Imperium. I think they are going to give the win to the Brutes here. It would be a way that Sheamus could get his win back, so to speak, from the Wales show, but also not have Gunther look weak. Finn Balor versus Edge, I Quit match. This match is huge for Finn. Probably the biggest match since he won his Universal title, but I do think he quits here. I think Edge wins and then kind of kicks off that retirement tour, heating him up for a big Mania, maybe even a big SummerSlam match where Roman or somebody kind of retires him. Then we have the strap match, Cross versus McIntyre. This is a hard one. Drew lost to Roman at the Wales show, but he looked great and felt over. This will be where we see how hard he's going to get pushed. How hard is Cross going to get pushed? Is Drew going to be a top guy? Is he just going to hold the title during the, Thunderdome era in front of no fans? Are they just going to feed him to Cross here and then feed Cross to Roman? Or are they going to have McIntyre go over and lose to Roman again down the line? What I think is going to happen is Cross is going to win here. The strap match is enough of a gimmick to where you can still have Drew look strong, and then you could give him wins throughout the winter to heat him up for WrestleMania season. Cross is, brought in. He got fired, and then they brought him back. So just like Dakota Kai, you have to show all these firees that, that the new regime understands the old regime made a mistake by firing some of these guys, and kind of putting Cross over might kind of showcase that. Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins in the fight pit. Daniel Cormier as the referee. This match is Riddle's match. Does Taker lose the casket match? No. Riddle can't lose the fight pit match, so I'm going Riddle. Bayley versus Bianca ladder match. The first time ever that the women's title has been defended in a ladder match. They are heating up this new group, but I don't think they want to take the title off of Bianca, so I'm going to go with Bianca Belair here. Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey. I don't know. I don't care. I do think that this Liv thing has gone on a little too much, but the crowd loves her. I still see Ronda winning. Now going back to AEW for Rampage, going over my overall thoughts before I go into the in-ring action. The Firm in the back, this is kind of a good line by the Ass Boys. They said, Top Gun's out. Just a little line there hinting at the FTR matchup. I think this match is going to be pretty good. FTR and the Gun Club, when they do finally go at it. Jade and Nyla Rhodes jawjacking. I think I might enjoy Jade powerbombing Nyla more than I enjoyed Gable suplexing Braun. I hope they do that spot in this match. Hangman promo. Andrade interrupts and challenges 10 to a mask versus career match. So this match was just kind of thrown out of the blue, shocking everybody, including Dave Meltzer, someone who's really kind of behind AEW. Kind of didn't understand the booking of a match versus career match with virtually no build. They had some backstage segments, but this is the first match between these two guys. This just showcases something that is a big problem for AEW. This stuff behind the scenes is becoming a lot more interesting than the matches and storytelling. WCW had this problem with backstage issues. That's still being talked about to this day on podcasts, and books are coming out. So people are making a lot of money on the interest that us fans have on backstage politics of WCW. But the thing is, WCW in its peak only lasted from 96 to 2000. So less than 5 years here. In 5 years' time, from AEW starting to when it's going to be over is when they need to do, TV deals and things like that. So this is a potentially really, really big problem. If Tony Khan cannot keep these, wrestlers from fighting with each other. I mean, you got Thunder Rosa leaving because she's allegedly bullied. You got the EVPs fighting with the world champion, of course. And you had Sammy Guevara not only fighting with Eddie Kingston a few weeks ago, but now fighting with Andrade. I'm going to say that's a lot more interesting other than maybe the Garcia, Jericho, Danielson stuff. That's got my interest, but everything else in AEW, I'm definitely more interested in the backstage stuff, which is not good. People get tired of wrestling. So if they're sitting here reading about the backstage stuff for hours during their workday, when they come home, they're going to be kind of tired of wrestling before the show even starts. Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway interrupt Private Party. Wardrobe promo and video package. Sign me up. I'm stoked. This team is going to make a lot of the tag team in the division look kind of silly. Ryan Namath gets worked by Hook. Not a bad segment. The crowd seems to be into Hook still. Trent with the line of the night. Cracking me up. He's going up against Pac, and he says, "My mom always told me never hit a man in the head with a hammer." It's like, your mom had to tell you that? Jesus. But yeah, of course, talking about how Pac beat Orange Cassidy last week on Dynamite. But these matches on Rampage, two of them were pretty good. Private Party versus Butcher and Blade versus The Acclaim. So Philly did get to see The Acclaimed. I kind of went on maybe a premature rant about the booking on Dynamite with The Acclaimed, but they came out for Rampage, so it's all good. This felt like a classic AEW Tag Division match, and The Acclaim wins with a mic drop 1, 2, 3. The Firm's Lee Moriarty, that's what it said on the graphic there, taps out Fuego del Sol like a bitch, and Morrissey choke slams him for good measure. Willow Nightingale and Jamie Hayter. Crowd likes Willow but loves Jamie Hayter. Chops were snug. I wonder if Willow is going to complain about Hayter hitting her too hard. Death Valley Driver from Willow. 1, 2, no. Baker distracts Willow from doing a moonsault, and Hayter picks her up and walks her all the way across the ring and then delivers a German suplex. That was fucking cool. 1, 2, 3. Hayter gets the victory. Philly sold on Hayter. I'm sold on Hayter. What's up? When are they going to rush the storyline? Remember the Wardlow thing? It took way too long. This Jamie Hayter thing is going to take way too long. And then now look where Wardlow is now. They're having to rebuild him back up. Are they going to make the same mistake with Hayter? I hope not. Excuse me. John Silver with Reynolds versus Rush and Andrade with Jose the assistant in their corner, of course. Rush arrogantly mocking the Dark Order. This is the main event. Crowd behind Silver. Roosh controlling the pace. Silver firing back with a sit-down powerbomb. Roosh with the Northern Lights. 1, 2, no. Brainbuster by Silver. 1, 2, no. Reynolds and Jose go at it. Andrade jumps on the ring, distracts Silver, turns around. Huge, Superman punch, just like Roman. Powering up just like Roman with that, like, hoorah. He didn't do that, but he definitely did the hoorah motion in the corner, just like Roman. I remember Hoovy would just steal like the Rock's lines all the time. So I think it's comical to see, another luchador like Roosh just outright blatantly kind of steal from Roman Reigns here. But then he did hit the bull's horn, a move all his own. 1, 2, 3. Roosh gets the victory. Andrade and Roosh start attacking the Dark Order. Butch and Blade come out. Dark Order come out. Locker room clears out. But one man cleans house here. Hangman Page comes back out and even hits the buckshot lariat on Jose. Fine wrestling show, but they need to nip this backstage shit in the butt. Cody kind of alluded to it when he was leaving. And, Punk, no stranger to backstage politics outside of AEW. And people forget the Young Bucks, similar situation here. I think it was like 2010, 2011, 2012. They were going back and forth between Ring of Honor, Impact, and screwing them all over to the point where I think the Bucks said something about wanting to leave the business at one point. They hung in there. They became, the indie phenomenons, which started AEW, but prior to all that happening, they were kind of getting a lot of backstage heat with how they acted. So a lot of people are forgetting that the Young Bucks kind of had a similar reputation as Punk does. So you got all these combustible elements under one roof, and I don't know if Tony Khan is going to be able to handle something like that. Of course, he's got a background in marketing and promoting and managing sports teams, but the thing is, at the end of the day, you can just say, hey, we're all on the same team here. If the lineman has a beef with the running back or some shit like that, you can say, hey, we're all on the same team. If he does well, you do well. And sure, you can kind of make that metaphor in pro wrestling, but there's only one guy lifting that world title up at the end of the day, and that means you get more money. That means you get more recognition. So innately, it's a different thing altogether than a football team, which is something that Tony Khan kind of has a background in. And also, I think it hurts him because Tony Khan, like me, hopefully like the people that are listening to this, kind of over-romanticize some of the stuff that happened backstage. Like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart had that great match despite them having a problem with one another. And then you hear stories like that all the time where they legitimately have beef, but they can still have a good match. That was probably the exception. That's why it was talked about so much and not the rule, as we're coming to find out. So nip it in the bud. Andrade, I like seeing wrestlers work snug, but I can understand complaining. I don't know, man. This is hard to say. As a fan, I enjoy when wrestlers work snug. It hooks me into the match. I watch a lot of wrestling. If wrestlers aren't laying in, I understand. I kind of maybe give an eye roll. And then I start staring at my phone. I literally lose interest if they don't lay it in. Where if you lay it in for even a split second for as much wrestling as I watch, I do get hooked. The illusion of an altercation, of a fight, is brought to my attention, and I will watch. And even though in the back of my head I always know it's in these actions are intentionally done, if you work snug, I get fooled, and for 3 seconds I get extremely excited as if I just saw my team score a touchdown, score a game-winning shot. I will pop like no one's business. And I think that's a lot of people. Sorry for going on a little rant there at the end. As always, fly high. I'm out.